Every year, it begins. The lights appear, the same songs haunt every store, and you start making lists. You hang giant socks on your fireplace. You bring a tree inside your house and cover it in shiny objects. You give gifts to the people you love. You think you're celebrating Christmas. But what if I told you that you're actually taking part in ancient pagan rituals? That you're honoring the sun god, and carrying on traditions born from centuries of political and theological debate? The story of Christmas isn't as simple as you think. It's not just a holy day that appeared fully formed. It's a complex, messy, and fascinating story of how a new religion found its place in an old world. It's a story of adaptation, rebranding, and cultural blending that has been happening for nearly 2,000 years. The real truth about Christmas isn't that it was stolen from pagans. It's far more interesting than that. It's a story about how ancient human impulses, the need for light in the darkness, for feasting in the cold, and for hope at the turn of the year, were so powerful they couldn't be erased. They just found a new name. Today, we're pulling back the curtain. We're going to uncover the secrets behind why we celebrate on December 25th, where your favorite traditions really came from, and how the holiday you know and love is a living museum of human history. The date: why December 25th? Let's start with the most basic question: why December 25th? If you open up the Bible, you won't find a specific date for Jesus' birth. The Gospels offer narrative details, but no calendar entry. In fact, the description of shepherds watching their flocks by night has led to endless debate, with some scholars suggesting a spring birth, while others argue that shepherds in Judea could have been in the fields even in winter. For the first few centuries of Christianity, there wasn't a big focus on birthdays. Many early Christian writers like Origen were actually suspicious of birthday celebrations, viewing them as a pagan custom. So where did the date come from? Well, there are two big theories, and the truth is likely a mix of both. The first is called the computation theory. Around the 3rd and 4th centuries, Christian thinkers tried to calculate Jesus' birth date based on the date of his death. A tradition developed that Jesus was crucified on March 25th. This led to a fascinating theological idea, drawing on some Jewish traditions, that great prophets were conceived on the same day they died. So, if Jesus died on March 25th, he must have been conceived on March 25th. Count forward 9 months, and you land exactly on December 25th. But there's another, more famous explanation, one that lies in the world Christianity was trying to conquer: the Roman Empire. December was a month of major pagan parties. The most important of these was Saturnalia, a week-long festival starting on December 17th honoring the god Saturn. During Saturnalia, all work and business stopped, social norms were flipped upside down, and people feasted, drank, gambled, and exchanged gifts. It was the biggest party of the year. On top of that, another festival landed right on December 25th. In the year 274, the Roman Emperor Aurelian established the feast of Dies Natalis Solis Invicti*, the birthday of the unconquered sun. This holiday honored the sun god as the days finally began to get longer after the winter solstice, symbolizing light's victory over darkness. So, you have a new religion on the rise. What do? The historical record isn't perfectly clear, and scholars are divided. We know from a document called the Chronograph of 354 that Christians in Rome were celebrating Christmas on December 25th by the year 336. Some historians argue that the Church strategically placed Christmas on this date to compete with Sol Invictus. It's easier to win converts if you don't ask them to give up their favorite winter festival, you just give them a new reason to celebrate. Instead of the rebirth of the sun, they were now celebrating the birth of the *sun. Other scholars, however, argue the date was set independently through the computation theory, and the overlap is just a coincidence. Whatever the case, the timing definitely helped merge pagan and Christian traditions into one massive winter celebration. The tree and amp, the greenery bringing nature inside. Now, let's talk about the centerpiece of the holiday, the Christmas tree. Why do we bring a giant fir tree into our living rooms and cover it with lights? The practice is much younger than the holiday itself, but its roots dig deep into pre-Christian soil. For thousands of years, pagan cultures across Europe used evergreen branches to celebrate the winter solstice. In the darkest, coldest time of year, when everything else seemed dead, evergreens were a powerful symbol of everlasting life. Romans decorated their homes with greenery during Saturnalia, and Norse and Celtic people used evergreens like holly and ivy in their Yule rituals to symbolize resilience and ward off evil spirits. But the specific tradition of a decorated indoor tree is much more recent, likely starting in 16th century Germany. One of the most popular theories connects it to medieval German plays about Adam and Eve, which were performed on December 24th. The main prop was a paradise tree, a fir tree decorated with apples to represent the forbidden fruit. German families then began setting up these paradise trees in their own homes. Over time, the apples were joined by wafers symbolizing Christian redemption, and eventually cookies and other decorations. There's a lovely legend that the Protestant reformer Martin Luther was the first to put candles on a tree, inspired by stars twinkling through the forest, but its historical accuracy is shaky. More concrete, though still debated by historians, is a record of a public tree decorated by a merchant guild in Riga, Latvia, in 1510. Other strong evidence points to Strasbourg in the Alsace region, with records of decorated trees from the late 15th and early 16th centuries. For a long time, the Christmas tree was seen as a strange, foreign custom. In 17th century America, Puritans in colonies like Massachusetts Bay actually banned celebrating Christmas for a time, believing its traditions were pagan and unholy. The tree didn't really take off in the English-speaking world until 1848, when the Asterisk Illustrated London News published a drawing of Queen Victoria, her German husband Prince Albert, and their children gathered around a decorated Christmas tree. That royal seal of approval made the tradition explode in popularity across Britain, America, and beyond. A German, pagan-inspired custom had officially become the global symbol of the holiday. The man in red from Saint to Santa, he is arguably the most famous figure on the planet. A jolly, white-bearded man in a red suit who flies around the world in a sleigh pulled by reindeer. But where did Santa Claus come from? The man you picture is a mashup, a character built over 1,700 years from a real-life saint, European folklore, and American corporate advertising. The story starts in the 3rd century in what is now Turkey, with a real person, Nicholas, a Christian bishop known for his incredible generosity, especially for secretly giving gifts to the poor. The most famous story tells of him saving 3 poor sisters from being sold into slavery by dropping bags of gold through their window. One bag is said to have landed in a stocking hung by the fire to dry, giving us the origin of Christmas stockings. After his death, he became Saint Nicholas, the patron saint of children. His feast day, December 6th, was celebrated with gift-giving for centuries. After the Protestant Reformation, devotion to saints faded in many parts of Europe. But not in Holland. The Dutch kept the tradition alive with Sinterklaas, a tall, skinny bishop on a horse who checked if children were good or bad. When Dutch settlers came to America, they brought Sinterklaas with them, and in early 19th century New York, the name Sinterklaas was anglicized into Santa Claus, but he still didn't look like our Santa. His modern image was forged in the United States, largely by 2 men. First, in 1823, the poem, A Visit from St. Nicholas, You know it as "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" was published. It gave us Santa's key traits: a jolly old elf with a little round belly who arrived on Christmas Eve in a sleigh pulled by 8 flying reindeer. The second man was Thomas Nast, a political cartoonist for Harper's Weekly. From the 1860s to the 1880s, Nast drew hundreds of pictures of Santa. He gave him the North Pole Workshop and the Naughty or Nice list. While he often drew Santa in a red suit, it wasn't standardized. The final touch, the one that cemented the image in our minds, came from the Coca-Cola Company. While they didn't invent the red suit, their huge holiday ad campaigns, starting in the 1930s, were a game-changer. The illustrations by Haddon Sundblom featured a warm, friendly, human-sized Santa in that iconic bright red suit. These images were everywhere, standardizing and globalizing the image of Santa Claus and completing his transformation from a Turkish saint into a global superstar. If you're finding these hidden histories as fascinating as we do, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because we have a lot more secrets to uncover. And let us know in the comments which Christmas tradition surprised you the most. Conclusion: so, what's the real truth about Christmas? It's that the holiday we celebrate is a beautiful, chaotic, and deeply human invention. Its date was likely chosen in a world of Roman sun worship. Its most iconic decoration, the tree, is a tribute to ancient pagan symbols of life. And its magical gift bringer is a blend of a Christian saint, Dutch folklore, and American commercialism. But knowing this doesn't diminish the holiday. It doesn't mean Christmas is a lie or that it was stolen. It reveals something much more profound. It shows that for millennia, humans have felt a deep need to create light in the darkness, to feast against the cold, and to come together in hope at the turning of the year. These traditions have been passed down, adapting and taking on new meanings with each generation. Christmas isn't one single story, but a tapestry woven from countless threads of history, faith, folklore, and culture. So, this year when you decorate your tree or hang your stockings, remember that you're not just taking part in a 21st century holiday. You're participating in a story that is thousands of years old, a story about our enduring search for light, joy, and connection, told under many different names, but with the very same heart. And for Christians today, that story finds its fulfillment in the birth of Jesus Christ, the true light who entered the world to bring hope, peace, and salvation. Every twinkling ornament and glowing candle becomes more than decoration. It is a reminder that God's love broke through the darkness and still shines in our lives. As you gather with family, exchange gifts, and sing carols, let your heart rest in the deeper meaning of Christmas. That Emmanuel, God with us, is not just a tale of the past, but a living reality that continues to transform hearts and renew faith in the present day.